which left a mark more persistent than your own ones did. The thought sent her calves itching, and she slipped one leg out from under the duvet, looked at the scars which she'd discovered reacted to cold weather more than hot, irritated when she was tired or run down or emotional, like they were psychic wounds rather than physical ones now. 36 individual puncture marks stabbed into her legs as one of her former colleagues detonated a bomb vest packed with shrapnel, wanting a swift and glorious end to his racially motivated terror campaign. She still thought about him, but not so often and not so brutally. At least the scars were finally beginning to fade, helped by some mossy-smelling oil she had bought at the Chinese herbalist in Westgate Arcade. She knew they'd never heal completely, though, and the prospect of showing her skin still filled her with dread. Adams didn't mind. He had scars of his own, and when they were together, the backs of her legs were the last thing either of them considered. It wasn't a good enough excuse to get her out of trouble if Riggott did find out about them. We're fucking because he's the one man I trust not to judge the state I'm in. The DCS might feel a flicker of sympathy, but rules were rules, and like most people who broke them, he wouldn't hesitate to punish anyone else who did the same. Worry about it when it happens, she told herself, burrowing back down under the cover. They had been careful. She didn't work directly under him. This was an easily containable situation as long as they kept it casual. The shower went silent, and a few minutes later he returned to the bedroom, snagged his jeans off the floor and stepped into them. "You need to get a cleaner," he said. "There's so much limescale on that shower door, it looks frosted." "I don't want someone going through my stuff." "Mel, if you don't get a cleaner in here soon, it won't be safe for someone to touch your stuff. You'll need a fucking decontamination company." It wasn't like the place was actually dirty. A bit messy, maybe. She knew she could do with picking some of the clothes up, putting a wash in, but the floors were laminate, and she was sure you didn't need to vacuum that or anything. "I'll give you my cleaner's number." He pulled on his shirt. "You'll have to tidy up before she comes round, though." "Might as well do it myself, then." He sat down on the bed to put his shoes on. "Or you could call your mum. I'm sure she'd love to keep tidying up after you. Give her a key. She can come round whenever she wants. She might even do your washing." "Shut up." Ferreira aimed a lazy kick at his shoulder. "What's the rush, anyway?" "Dead jogger in Ferry Meadows," he said, retrieving his phone. "Strangled." "It's your serial rapist?" "It's his stamping ground." A look of contempt twisted Adams's face. "Early morning, lone woman with her earphones in. Yeah, I reckon. Can't say we weren't expecting the bastard to escalate, but I thought we had more time. Fuck. It's only been a couple of weeks since the last one." Ferreira frowned, seeing how edgy he was. "They get sloppy when they escalate. Might be you find something this time." "Maybe." He started out of the bedroom, stopped on the threshold. "I'll call you later, okay?" "Sure." The front door slammed, and she lay back, staring up at the ceiling. He was going to be raging tonight. They'd discussed the case already, spent hours talking it around, and part of her thought it was unhealthy how quickly they'd settled into a routine of venting at each other, something slightly sick that minutes after the sex was over, their minds turned to crime. The other, less moral part of her had already realised the sex was better when it came off the back of a bad day. All of that anger and frustration looking for an outlet. Ferreira climbed out of bed and twisted her hair up into a ponytail, kicking the dumped clothes into a rough pile she would deal with when she got home. There was a single pair of knickers in the drawer, so she guessed the situation was approaching crisis point. She stood under the shower for a long time, the heat lifting the smell of him out of her pores, idly wondering how much messier the flat could get before he refused to step foot in it. Much worse, she decided. All he really needed was a clear channel between the front door and the bed.